Okay, dear students, let's start the sessions. I believe that most of the people have joined. Now, these particular sections, you can see there are collection of slides are there. So we will be talking about the different slides and these particular sections. What is the speciality of this particular section is this one. This is consists of number of numerical problems in this particular sessions. Now, if you see across the particular syllabus related to the EC 366, then you will find this one, it talks about a scheduling. So here in this particular sessions, we will be talking the scheduling as the main components for this discussions, and also we will be talking about the scheduling algorithms. And you have to understand that these modules, if you understand the theory well, remaining sections will be easily to digest. Now, let's see the process. He has been shown here in this one. CPU is shown over here, and CPU is being carrying out. And if you try to see this figure, CPU and one arrow is shown over here. What does it indicates? That indicates that the CPU is performing a various task and in a given time. That is, this is a time t. It is being shown, and various activity is being shown here. So every time when we are creating a new something, that is where a process is being created. That is what you have seen that what is meant by process. It is a new, ready, then it is running, then executions. That is what a process means. And in the meantime, that is a waiting will be there, and one interrupt is there. That figure you should keep there in your, that image should be there in your mind always with respect to the process, because the process is basically is talking with respect to what I stated. So the process one is coming, then it will it is taking, and it is in the given state, and from that state, after that it is restoring. Suppose if that process is not doing anything, then it is in that state. Our process is doing something, it will carry out, and in that state it will be there. After that, this process is restored and it is executed out. Another process P2 is there. It is coming from here and it is going for some other activities. And somewhere something is coming, it is restoring into a process P2 state and it is executing. That means every process is doing some set of activities. So that is what I mean to say. So the process is actually a process is waiting to be assigned by the processor. So who is assigning? By the operating systems. So here we will be having a ready state, running state, waiting state, and terminate state. Ready state means process is waiting in the ready state. And whenever that is as what I mean to say in the next figure. So this is the what is mean by process. So starting means it is in the waiting state. That is all the process is being assigned, just like in the batch processing system. All the jobs are coming here. So these jobs is collection of a process. And after that, it is taken to a ready state. So in the ready state, this process is being put in the form of a queue, and it is waiting to be assigned to the processor. And here in the running state, the CPU is going to execute based on the instructions that is received for this particular process. And from here, it is going to terminate. When the process complete the work, then it is going to execute. Suppose if the process is here, you see wait for input output completion. So what is mean by wait for input output completion of resource? This is a part of this running. So when the CPU give that activities for the input output to execute, at that time CPU is in the sleep state. That is what I mean to say. So whenever this input output is not free, then it is given for the waiting state. And then once it is free, Once it is getting that resources, it go back to ready, and then it further continue. So waiting is, what is the waiting? Waiting is that the process is waiting for some events to occur, or it may be getting blocked if something is not available. So such input output operation has to complete based on the reception of the signals. So that is what. Now, based on this one, that is what I have shown over here. Now here, if you see, these are nothing but different state. Here, one more thing is coming as an interrupt. Now, when you see this interrupt state is indicating, it means that that CPU is being terminated to do that activity, or maybe suspended to do that activities, so that it can be taken it back to ready state. So this is what exactly I mean to talk about this input output event, or input output, or event wait. Now that I have described over here, you can go through this particular things. It is a very simple way. I have explained to you what is new, ready, running, wait, and terminate. Now let us see this one. This particular figure. You have to understand this figure. What exactly this figure is indicating is this one. When I say new, the process is being created, and what is ready? The process is waiting to be assigned to a processor. Ready processor is waiting to have a processor allowed to them by the operating systems so that they can run. That means this job queue is receiving the job. What is in the job? Say, for example, you want your processor, your computer to run a audio file. Then you want the computer to do a drawing on a paintbrush. You want a computer to do to watch a video, or you want the computer to do something you want to type. So all this activity is nothing but a individual process. Each process. So that is coming to this job queue. So that job queue will be what the job queue is going to do. Actually, what is job queue? All the process upon entering into the systems are stored in the job queue. That is what exactly the what I mean to say. All the process that are entering into the system are stored in the job queue. Now from here, it is given to the ready queue. So what is ready queue? We will be using this term in the numerical part. Ready queue means when all the process in the ready states are placed, all the process in the ready states are placed in the ready queue. That means when all the processes are being seen by the CPU that it is present, that is known as a ready queue. I am using a word again. When all the process that is being present, it has been seen that every process has arrived, that is known as a ready queue. Then there is a under this particular case, then remaining is same thing. All what we have discussed before, like a running state, process instructions are executed. That is known as a running state. What is waiting? The process is waiting for some event to occur. That is known as a waiting. And terminator means whenever everything is completed, that is known as a execution. Now, dear students, let us see something like what is this thing? What is happening here? This is a process, but in the process, everything process is some. When we talk about a process, we say that this is a collection of activities. But when this process is doing some activities, then this is known as a process scheduling. When everything is acting in the process, then it has to go in the process is put under the scheduling. So what is scheduling means? Whenever we have a planning, whenever we arrange a plan to take place at a particular time, that is known as a scheduling. Scheduling means എന്താണ് ഒരു പ്ലാനിനെ ഒരു particular time if it is able to execute or we can able to perform, that is known as scheduling. What is in the process scaling? Process scheduling means it is the activity of the process manager that can that has to handle the each process, and it should know which process has to be moved to the CPU so that the CPU can able to execute it, and after that CPU will take a next process. So that is known as a process scheduling. So under the process scheduling, there are two type of a queue. I have told about a ready queue. There is another one queue is known as a device queue. What is device queue? You are aware about what are the different devices in the computer. All these devices that is waiting for the process, because process will be waiting for these devices help, memory, or maybe some input output, address bus, data bus, all this buses structure, how it has, who is handling. So this process, when it is waiting for this device to being available for the process to execute, that is known as a device queue. Even the devices are also in the queue point. That's why you have seen this input output waiting queue. So this input output waiting queue is maybe that it is waiting for some device. There may be exit. When a CPU want to exit, it has to wait. So that is known as another form of a queue under the state of a CPU. Now we go to the another important segment of this one. I believe everybody can able to see it in a proper way. Okay. Now we go to the another important discussion. Dear students, if you are having a notebook with you, you can refer to the page number 33. In the page number 33, we will be talking about the scheduler. Scheduler is one important things under the page number 33. That is what we are going to discuss. Now, what exactly the scheduler means is that we have talked about scheduling. So under the scheduling, we are going to talk about this particular section. Now here, if you try to see this particular case, in the scheduling, there are some important criterions we have to fulfill. What is, when we do the scheduling, you have to remember that CPU utilizations we have to improve. CPU throughput, it has to improve. Then the CPU should not wait for a long time. Otherwise, what will happen? The turnaround time will be simply keep on increasing. Then CPU should not have a waiting, more waiting time. That means not CPU. The process should not be waiting for the CPU's use, or the process should not be waiting in the queue for a long time, so that the CPU will be executing it for otherwise. So that particular process will go for starving. That's a waiting queue time should be minimized. Response time of the CPU should be fast. Arrival time of the process in the ready queue should be as fast as possible. Even the process, a process should not be very big, so that a small process will be waiting for the waiting till that long process is completing. Then what is in the long time, short time of a process, that is a burst time. So burst time of any process, if it is very large, it is going to create a starving for the small process. Our conditions you should be able to reduce. Then completion time of the process. What is completion time? From here to exit is the completion time of the process. So that should be as fast as possible. Then the remaining time, when a process is running and the next process is waiting for the previous process, then it is seeing the remaining time. The remaining time should be as fast means it should be as minimum as possible. That means when I say remaining time as minimum, the burst time should be small. So all this thing is a part of the scheduling criteria. Under this particular case, we are coming across the terms like a long-term scheduler, medium-term scheduler, and short-term scheduler. You have to study this one. You have to study the difference between long-term, short-term, medium-term. My notes has very clearly specified about that particular things. When you see my notes there, it is very clearly defined about this scheduling. Now, under this particular scheduling, you will be seeing that the first is that any input which is coming to the process under the new to the ready state, this is a long-term scheduler, because it takes a long time to reach. And similarly, from here directly to the ready state, also a long-term scheduler comes. Either it can come through this, or it can come as the figure it speaks. But from the, if it is coming like this, this is a job queuing, from here it is coming to the ready queue. So from here to here, this is a process which is not this much time, but it is a medium terms. That is not a medium term scheduling, shortest time. And from the ready, any process will be going one by one. So or if it is a multi-programming, so it will may go parallelly, no problem. But the time consumption is very less. So that's how it is known as a short-term scheduler. Another is that from the running to exit is you will find that that particular case is nothing but again it is fast. So this particular case you will be finding that in this case also this particular scheduling is going in the form of a short-term scheduling. So these three things what I have stated to you about the long-term scheduling, short-term scheduling, and the medium term scheduling, the comparison used. The long term is termed as a job scheduler. Medium terms in process process movie process scheduler. Short term is nothing but a CPU scheduler. That is very fast. And the speed of this one is faster and the speed of this one is slow. This is the medium. And remaining time you can try to see that this is only here the control is basically over the whatever is the from the ready to running. If it is a multi-programming or a single process, only that controlling. Whereas in this case, what is controlling? If there is any error or any blocking is coming, that has to send back. So that is known as here also multi-programming or a single process control is there. Whereas in this case, whatever the batches that is, whatever the process that is coming under the degree of multi-programming, that has to control. So here time consuming high, low, and here it is very less. And no, it is in between these two. So that is how you have to understand. Now we come to this sections. This is also one important things. I think I have talked about from here, job is coming, ready queue, dispatcher, and CPU. So this is a long term, short term, it is coming CPU. Now from CPU, it is going in the waiting queue. So this is a mid-term scheduling. And here from waiting to ready queue is after the, why it is coming here? Because input output operation has not taken place. When the input output operation is free, then it is returning back. So here, long term is here, short term is here, this is short term here also. This is a mid-term scheduler. This is also a mid-term scheduler. That is how you have to keep it in your mind. I have talked about this one. That is what I mean. Now, there is another thing is that if you see in my notes, that particular thing is in my, if you go to my notes sections, there I have talked about a particular sections, that is a page number 31, process scheduling. If you see that one on the page number 31, that is a very, the same thing is there where I have given a, just like in the form of a CPU scheduling I have told, and I talked about a queue, both are same. Apart from this one, there is a term is a fork a child and a waiting for a interrupt. Other meaning and the fork a child is nothing but whenever one process is running, you are creating a sub process. In that case, that particular term is called as a fork a child. And whenever the interrupt is coming, that interrupt is that is also a part of it. That is again, it is a part of this mid-term scheduler. So that is what I have put across there. So that two things you refer it. Now we go to the next segment, which you normally ask. That is nothing but a preemptive, preemptive. Preemptive I have expressed to you with respect to this figure. That is clear in the previous segment. So preemptive and non-preemptive, let us see. Preemptive means running to ready. That is running to ready state, and waiting to ready state. That is running to ready, and waiting to ready. Whereas in the case of a non-preemptive situation, it is running to waiting and terminate. Running to ready means this is a small section and this is a small. Running to waiting is this is this small section, and terminate is this section. So here is nothing but a running to waiting and running to terminate. Ready so running to ready and waiting to ready, this one. So what is preemptive? The preemptive scheduling the scheduling in which the scheduling in which every process is given an equal time. So processor, you can interrupt the processor at any time. That is the speciality of preemptive. That means you can, preventive means prevent or disable. Non-preemptive means if one process is running, after the completion of the whole process, then only the next process is allowed. So that is known as a non-preemptive. So this is what I have explained to you. This is very important. Study this one. Under the preemptive, you are having a different example: SRTF, priority Robin round, and ഇതിനകത്ത് കൊടുക്കുന്ന FCS, SJF algorithms. So this is very important in this case. In this case, waiting time and response time is very less. Why it is less? Because every process is given a small time. Whereas in this case, if one process is running, you cannot stop the CPU. It will, you cannot disable the CPU, or you cannot prevent the CPU. Other non-preemptive means you cannot prevent. And so here the waiting time and response time is very high. So that is what I mean to talk about. Advantage and the disadvantage is that in this case, good response time. In this case, advantage is that the overhead will be less in this case. Because here more process has to run. Here only that process will complete, means it will not run again. So that is what. Yeah, and here the complexity is high, here complexity is low. That is what exactly I mean to talk about. Now, CPU scheduling time quantum. CPU scheduling means how the CPU has to schedule for the data flow. Time quantum, that is, I am repeating always, it is the amount of a time shared by the each process interrupting the job if it is not completed by them. So that time quantum means the completion of the job in a given time frame. We will be talking about, this is coming under the round robin case. Every process, every CPU is given a time for every process. In that time only it will request. Ready queue means the request, it is in order by which the process arrives are handled. All the request queue is handled by the process which is coming and starting for waiting for the CPU to accept. Now these things I will talk with respect to these things I will talk with respect to the numerical problem. So let us go to the numerical problem to understand this particular figure. Okay, this was the things which I told you, refer to the particular page, number 31. This one. These two things are same. No, this is a different figure I'm talking about. So, but what I mean to say is that waiting queue is one. This is another type of a waiting queue. From a ready queue, you can go to again queue. But this is from here, ready queue to when the process is in a ready queue, and if the CPU want to send, by the time CPU is busy, what it will do? It will send that one to other. If that particular thing is not important, it will be going to waiting. This is one. But here the process during the time of input output execution, if it is not free, that particular time, this particular process is being sent back to under the ready queue, under the waiting state. Now we go to the numerical problem. Let us see this numerical problem, because this is what we are going to talk about, and this is what you have to understand that this is going to appear in the almost all the exams question paper. Now here three things is important things we have to understand is arrival time. The time it takes the process to arrive into a ready queue is called as arrival time. Burst time, time request by the process to execute. Burst time, this is a process is that our process starting point to end point, how much time it is taking that particular process to execute, that is what. Arrival time is the process is arriving, that is what. Completion time is how much time it will take to complete this process by the CPU, that is known as the completion time. Turnaround time. Turnaround time is the difference between the difference between the completion and the arrival time. That is the calculations. Waiting time is the difference between turnaround time and the burst time. So this is what we see in the case of a numerical problem. So we are seeing this numerical problem, dear students. I believe that this problem will be easy for you to understand. Every time in the question paper, just like you have seen the question paper, sometime the question paper will be put in the form of a table. Sometime it will not be put in the form of a table. It will be like a statement. So from the statement, you have to create this one if it is not like this. Anyhow, if most times I believe that it will be helpful. So under these particular situations, what is seen is that there are 4 processes shown: P1, P2, P3, P4, P5. So under this 4 process, the arrival time is given 0 and the burst time is given here. So when the burst time is given here, from here you have to find out what is the average waiting time and average turnaround time. So how will you do? First in the question, since it is a this is a FCFS. FCFS means first comes and first serve. So that is what you mean to say. So in the FCFS situations, what you have to do, you have to make sure that that process is able to perform under the stage with respect to the non-preemptive. Non-preemptive means you cannot make the CPU to suspend. CPU will executing that particular process completely. That is known as non-preemptive scheduling. That you have to write down here. Arrival time. Arrival time is given because in the question it is given. Arrival, even if the question is not given, arrival time, because here I have given quantum time, because this is 3 things is there: FCFS, SGF, RR. That's why in FCFS arrival time is given in the question paper, so it is 0, and burst time it is also given. Okay, so arrival time comma burst time. So you have to start. So how will you start? First process, because all are coming at the same time. So arrival time all are in the here. So in the P1 first process we are writing. So 0 we are writing here because the arrival time is 0. And from here, the CPU takes 10 milliseconds to complete. So plus 10. So you got it here as 10. Then the next, so that is what here. So here you will write it as P1. So P1 star. That means P1 you have completed. Next here, when what is that? 10 millisecond. So 10 millisecond is for the second process. So since all the process in the same way, so you have to go, nothing you have to worry, straight way go to the second process. So P2 need how much time? 27 seconds. So plus 27, so it becomes 37. So here you write P2 star. Now third, what you do? Third you will do for the P3. P3 needs how much? 5 millisecond. So plus 5. So you got it as a 42 millisecond. So P3 star. P4, next process is coming, P4. So how much time? Plus 9. So plus 9 add. So how much time it is need? So it becomes 51. Then here you put as a P4 star. In the here I put as a response, so that no, it is easy for you to understand, so that no, there will not be any mistakes that will not happen to you. That's why I say normally to the student, mark it so that nothing will be missing. So next is process P5. How much time? 12 milliseconds plus 12. So it becomes 60. So everything is there. So from here, you should write completion time. Completion time, every process is completing how much time? It needed 10 to complete. So if it is 0, another, because whole 10 you have used. That's why it becomes 0. So here is a completion time is 10. Here, how much time it takes a process P2 to complete? Process P2 to complete this process needed how much? Here it is 37, because even this process become 10. 37. Process P3 is 42. Process P4 51. Process P5 63. So everything you have written here. So this is what I mean to say with respect to. Okay. This is what I mean to say with respect to the first part. Now let's go to the next. Next process is, it talks about which one? It talks about SJF. SJF stands for what is the SJF abbreviation? Shortest job first. So shortest job first is what we are seeing here. So here what we are going to do, if everything is given. So here first you write the criteria. Arrival time is given. Burst time, comma burst time is given, and which mode it is. Then if nothing is given, you should take it as a non-preemptive. Okay, non-preemptive. So non-preemptive you are written. Now the same way, if you see SJF, if it is a non-preemptive, it will be just like FCFS mode. And FCFS mode. But here, if suppose SJF in a priority, then it is a total different. But here, it is a simple SJF. So what is the difference in this particular case? If you try to look across the situation of SGF as compared to the previous, ഇവിടെ എത്ര 40.628, here എത്ര 40.628. So that is what I mean to say, that in this particular situation, sorry, this is FCFS. Now let us go to the SGF. SGF. Now SGF in the case under this category, it is just like a FCFS. Only one thing you have to see, it talks about a job. Remember the activities. So with respect to the job, you have to give importance. So here, bus time is given, arrival time is given, but important is here what it talks with respect to the bus time. So you would have bus times in importance for what is given. So that is what I mean to say. So that is bus time is given. Now, first job is coming, always should be based on the arrival time. So first job will be based on the bus time. So bus time at 5 plus 5. So that is P3 is coming as 5. Because why? Because your priorities criteria is bus time. Idine stress. So LM process is arriving at the same time, but this process having a slope lowest process that is been taken. So that is P3 is 5. So plus 5. Now that is plus 5 is written. So it become 8. So after that, when which processes will run? Other P4. P4 is given. So plus 9. The other P1. So P1 is there. Then plus 10. Then P5 plus 12. Like that you write it and you create this one. Completion time completion time the right side value. P3 5, 14, 24, 36, 63. Like that you write it, do the rest of the activity. Now we go to the next is round robin. Now round robin, round robin. See, in this one, what is given? They are given a quantum time. Quantum time 10 milliseconds means this is a round. Every process will be given some time, 10 milliseconds. So every process, CPU will be spending every 10 milliseconds for each process. So here, everything we have written. Here, time quantum is the important, 10 milliseconds, you would have criteria. And it is a preemptive. So here, the first process is coming, P1. So 10 milliseconds. So 10 minus 10 is 0. Next is 27. 27, only 10 will be running. So 27 minus 10 is 17. Even though P1 star, P2 star. So 17 is pending. Okay. Now process P3. P3 it is 5. Now here 5 minus 10. So it is 5 minus 10. So that means the whole 5 is taken. So that's why it becomes 0. So that is plus 5. Now here you see I have put a star P2, P3. So P2, P3 means that the P2 is pending. P3 is complete. Was actually used. So similarly, actually used. So that how it become. So like that. Then the next process P4 comes. It is also fully used. So P4. Then P5 is coming. So it 12 minus 10, 2. Like that, this process is used P2, P5. Now what is pending? P2 is P5. So that's how we are completing with P2, P5 and everything is written. This is known as Gantt chart. Now we have to read. What is the CT? CT you view from the right side. So what is P2? 63. What is P5? 56. What is P2? Again, P2 is no, we should not take. P5 also no. Then P4. P4 is 34. Then P3 is 25. 25. Then P1 10. Angane ella edithittu this one. This is known as a preemptive. Like that you do. Then you comes to this particular scheduling where I have a priority. This priority scheduling is that one. In this one, priority importance. So you have to give importance to priority. But in the priority, not the highest priority is given the importance. So whichever is high. So here high is what? 5. So 5 can P0. Pinendo another 1. So in that no, then P4. Then which one? P3. then P1, P2. Like that, you do this computation and do. So this is how the waiting under the non-preemptive. Now, if the same if suppose a preemptive വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്തോ ചെയ്യണം, you cannot whenever a preemptive this is which preemptive വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you cannot do it. Now here when the process P0 is coming at 0, so we have taken P0, but we cannot take because it is a preemptive. That means CPU is dividing. That way it will be only running for a 1 millisecond and then 8 minus 7. പിന്നെ നെക്സ്റ്റ് വരുമ്പോൾ നെക്സ്റ്റ് പ്രോസസ് ഇതിനകത്ത് ഫുൾ റൺ ചെയ്തില്ല. സോ ദാറ്റ്സ് വൈ P0 റൺ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ടൈം P0 ഈസ് അവൈലബിൾ ഹിയർ at this particular point 1 the process P1 is also there and P0 is there. പിന്നെ അത് again -1, so 3. ഇവിടെ വരുമ്പോൾ എത്ര, again at this point at 2 point you are having a process P0, P1 and P2. So then it will check this process is 3, this no 1, this is 3 is 7, so which is small, 1. So that's why P2 has taken. So then the next process at 3, this is coming. So here this process is there 5. No, this process is there, so 5. So which will take, it will check 5, 3 and 7. So it will find the P1 is there. So it will take P1. At P4, next process at 4, e point here ready queue on. Here is a ready queue. This is only for explanation. At this point is a ready queue. At this point, this much process is running. So you no need to add only 1. You can add straightaway the 2 and do compute this one. That's how this particular process. You do this example, refer to the and finally this thread. Thread is a collections of a smaller process. That is how we have given, and the explanation is based on the layer. This is the thread distribution and its comparisons. You see process and the thread is for a lightweight, process is for heavyweight. That's how its architecture. So these are the basic and is user kernel and kernel level that I have talked about earlier, that notes. So these are the things, dear students, you have to remember that it's a part of a module 2. Any question you want to ask? Please ask. Otherwise, we can conclude here because it's a time to conclude also. So anyhow, I thank each and every one of you for your listening